Imagine, for a moment, a single city. Not a sprawling metropolis, but a small, vulnerable settlement of mud brick huts and wooden palisades perched on 7 hills along the Tiber River in Italy. It was a place so insignificant that its neighbors barely gave it a second thought. A community of shepherds and farmers fighting for survival. Now, let your mind's eye expand to an empire of staggering proportions. An empire that stretched from the rain-lashed walls of northern England all the way to the sun-scorched banks of the Euphrates. An empire that encircled the entire Mediterranean Sea, a body of water they so thoroughly dominated they called it Mare Nostrum, our sea. This is not a story of destiny or a foregone conclusion. This is the incredible, against-all-odds story of how that tiny, vulnerable village became the absolute superpower of the ancient world, laying the foundation for everything from our languages and our laws to our very concept of the West. So how did they do it? Was it simply the brute force of their legions? Or was there something more, a secret recipe for world domination that we can still learn from today? For centuries, Rome was just another player on a crowded stage, overshadowed by the sophisticated Greeks, the wealthy Etruscans, and the naval superpower of Carthage. Its rise was not inevitable. In fact, it was nearly snuffed out on multiple occasions. Rome's path to power was a deliberate, brutal, and brilliantly cunning process, forged through 3 key ingredients: an unstoppable military machine, a revolutionary talent for absorbing conquered peoples, and a political system that, for a crucial period, turned ruthless ambition into an engine for imperial expansion. This is the story of how Rome conquered the world. The unstoppable war machine. The backbone of Rome's rise was, without question, its military. But this wasn't just a horde of brutes with swords. It was a sophisticated, professional, and terrifyingly adaptable killing machine. At its heart was the Roman legion, a structure built for flexibility and resilience. Unlike the Greek phalanx, which was a massive, unwieldy block of spearmen, the legion was divided into smaller units called maniples. These handfuls of soldiers could operate independently, maneuvering across broken terrain, reinforcing weak points, and outflanking a static enemy. This was combined with relentless discipline. Legionaries trained daily, marching for miles in full kit, building fortified camps every single night, a moving fortress of conquest. They were career soldiers, serving for 25 years, which created a core of hardened veterans. But perhaps their greatest strength was their ability to learn and adapt. When they faced Carthage's superior navy, they didn't just give up. They reverse-engineered a wrecked ship and invented the corvus, a boarding bridge that turned a sea battle into a land battle. They were master engineers, building roads for rapid deployment and constructing elaborate siege works to crush any city that defied them. The legion was more than an army. It was a system designed for permanent, unstoppable expansion. The genius of assimilation. While other empires ruled through fear and plunder, Rome mastered a far more powerful tool: integration. For most ancient conquerors, victory meant subjugation. The defeated were slaves or subjects, perpetually resentful and waiting to rebel. Rome offered an alternative path. They understood that you could not hold an empire by the sword alone. You needed the consent, or at least the acquiescence, of the conquered. Their secret weapon was the gradual extension of Roman citizenship. Conquered Italian tribes and later provincial elites could earn the coveted status of civitas Romana. This wasn't just a piece of paper. It came with legal rights, social mobility, and a stake in the empire's success. A man from Spain could now dream of his grandson becoming a senator or even emperor. This policy of assimilation created a feedback loop of loyalty and stability. Furthermore, Rome was a cultural sponge. They didn't impose a purely Roman culture, but synthesized a new one, adopting Greek gods and philosophy, Etruscan rituals, and Egyptian architecture. By spreading their language, law, and this blended culture, they created a common Roman identity that transcended ethnicity. This genius strategy turned potential enemies into loyal Romans, making the empire more than just a territory controlled by Rome, but a world that became Rome. The political game, stability and ambition. For centuries, Rome's internal engine was its political system, the Republic. This complex structure of checks and balances, with its Senate, consuls, and assemblies, prevented any one individual from seizing absolute power, providing a remarkable, though often messy, stability. It was this stability that allowed for long-term planning and consistent foreign policy. But the Republic also had a secret fuel: raw, unchecked ambition. For a Roman nobleman, the path to glory, wealth, and political power was through military command. A successful campaign meant vast plunder, a magnificent triumph through the streets of Rome, and immortal fame. This created a powerful, self-perpetuating cycle of expansion. Generals were not just defending borders, they were actively seeking new lands to conquer to boost their careers. This system, however, contained the seeds of its own destruction. As the empire grew, the stakes became too high. The wealth and loyalty of massive private armies began to eclipse loyalty to the state. The ambitions of men like Marius, Sulla, Pompey, and ultimately Julius Caesar clashed in a series of devastating civil wars that brought the Republic to its knees, proving that the very engine of expansion could also tear the state apart from within. The crucible of conflict, the Punic Wars. No single conflict defined Rome's path to superpower status more than its epic struggle against Carthage. This was a clash of civilizations that pitted the land-based Roman Republic against the wealthy, seafaring Carthaginian Empire. The three Punic Wars were a brutal, decades-long test of survival. The Second Punic War, in particular, featured one of history's most brilliant and terrifying military commanders, Hannibal Barca. In an audacious move, he marched his army, including war elephants, from Spain, over the Alps, and into Italy itself. There, he annihilated one Roman army after another at Trebia, Lake Trasimene, and most devastatingly at Cannae. It was a catastrophe that should have ended Rome. But here we see the true depth of Roman resilience. Refusing to surrender even with the enemy at their gates, they adopted a strategy of attrition, avoiding direct battle while harassing Hannibal's supply lines. They fought him to a standstill in Italy while launching a counter-invasion of North Africa under Scipio Africanus. Forced to return home, Hannibal was finally defeated at the Battle of Zama. By defeating Carthage, Rome eliminated its only true rival and was catapulted from a regional power in Italy to the dominant force in the entire Mediterranean. The imperial solution: Augustus and the Pax Romana. Out of the ashes of the civil wars that destroyed the Republic, a new system emerged that would cement Rome's superpower status for centuries: the Empire. The man who engineered this transition was Augustus, the grandnephew and adopted son of Julius Caesar. He was a master of politics and perception. While claiming to restore the Republic, he systematically gathered all its key powers, military, political, and religious, into his own hands, becoming the first emperor, or princeps. This ended the internal power struggles that had bled the Republic dry. He established a professional, standing army loyal to the emperor, not to individual generals, and fixed its borders. This ushered in the Pax Romana, the Roman peace, a 2-century period of unprecedented stability, security, and prosperity across the vast empire. With internal squabbles and massive civil wars largely ceased, trade flourished along safe roads and sea lanes, arts and architecture thrived, and a common culture deepened. The imperial system, for all its autocracy, provided the centralized authority and long-term consistency that the late Republic lacked. It was the final, crucial piece of the puzzle, transforming Rome from a relentless, expanding republic into a stable, administered, and enduring superpower. The tools of power: infrastructure and law. Rome's power wasn't just projected by its legions, but by the physical and legal systems it laid down across the known world. Their engineering genius was a form of control. They built a vast, interconnected network of stone-paved roads, famously straight and durable. These roads, like the Appian Way, weren't for commerce alone. They were military highways, allowing legions to march at incredible speed to crush rebellions or reinforce frontiers. All roads lead to Rome was a literal and symbolic truth, binding the empire's extremities directly to its heart. Alongside these physical arteries, Rome exported its most enduring innovation, its system of law. Roman law evolved from the 12 tables into a sophisticated, rational body of statutes that emphasized principles like innocent until guilty proven and the importance of evidence and witnesses. This provided a predictable and uniform legal framework for everyone from Roman citizens in Italy to traders in Egypt. It brought order and a sense of universal justice, making Roman rule seem not just powerful, but legitimate and civilized. This infrastructure of stone and statute was the glue that held the empire together, making it manageable, profitable, and incredibly resilient. The economic engine, trade, and exploitation. An empire cannot run on glory alone. It requires immense wealth. Rome's economy was a powerful engine fueled by a combination of commerce, industry, and systematic exploitation. Conquest itself was immensely profitable. The spoils of war, gold, silver, art, and hundreds of thousands of slaves poured into Rome, financing massive building projects and lining the pockets of the elite. Slavery was the dark foundation of the entire system, providing the backbreaking labor for mines, farms, and households. This influx of wealth and cheap labor also stimulated a vast trade network. The Pax Romana made the Mediterranean a safe lake for merchant ships which carried grain from Egypt, olive oil from Spain, wine from Gaul, and spices from the East. Rome became the colossal consumer at the center of this web, its million-strong population demanding goods from every province. They established a standardized currency, the denarius, which was accepted from Britain to Babylon, facilitating this trade and integrating the provincial economies into a single cohesive whole. This economic integration, though often brutal, created a level of interdependence that made the empire more valuable intact than fractured. The enduring legacy. The Roman Empire may have fallen, but the world it built never truly disappeared. Its superpower legacy is the very bedrock of Western civilization. Linguistically, Rome's influence is indelible. The Romance languages, Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian, are all direct descendants of Latin, which also forms the core of scientific and legal terminology in English. Our concepts of justice, civil law, and the very idea that law should be based on reason and written precedent are Roman gifts. In architecture, their mastery of the arch, dome, and concrete is visible in countless capitals, train stations, and stadiums to this day. The very infrastructure of Europe often rests on Roman foundations, with many modern highways following the routes of ancient Roman roads. Perhaps most profoundly, Rome bequeaths to us the model of the large, multicultural, centralized state, a template for every empire and nation-state that followed. From a small village to the master of the known world, Rome's story is a timeless lesson in power, innovation, and the complex art of governance. It forces us to ask, what are the ingredients of a superpower? And what lessons from Rome's rise and fall are we still living with today?